Leigh is the only player in pickleball history who has and currently does simultaneously hold the #1 ranking in singles, women's doubles, and mixed doubles all at the same time. She famously said, "I always strive to be the best I can be. I will make mistakes, but I will learn from them too." And today I'm going to be unpacking that, and I'm going to be showing you 5 simple rules that Leigh formulated and follows in order to be so consistently great. And if you're new to the channel, my name is Coach Austin Hardy. I'm a PPR certified coach, a 5.5 rated player, and the creator of PickleballDrillsApp.com. It's a program that has hundreds of different drills with specific video instruction from the pros to help you level up your game faster than you ever thought possible. So if you want to level up, you can check it out. Future has an absolutely crazy deal going on right now where you can get 1 month of pickleball specific training free by going to the link on your screen or scanning the QR code. I'm paired up with Coach Jack, and he gives me 4 pickleball specific workouts every single week. And since he's a real person, he's constantly answering my questions, keeping me accountable, and also keeping me motivated throughout the week. The other day I was actually telling him how much I hated split squats, and he was just motivating me like, dude, just stick with it. You're gonna absolutely love them once you can build that muscle up just a little bit. And so I chose to stick with them because I know that that's a movement that you use all the time in pickleball. And now it's super funny because I actually really like doing split squats. So I've absolutely loved working with him throughout this past month. And I've been taking my training extremely seriously, and it's been amazing to see how much my strength has increased in my legs, how much it's helped me out on the court. Jack's also been giving me specific back and core exercises because I've had back problems in the past where it will seize up on the court. And I've actually had to drop out of tournaments from this happening. And it's really crazy because I'll wake up in the morning and I'll usually have back pain. I have not had back pain for the past 2 weeks. It's honestly one of the best things that I have done for my pickleball game and my health in general. So don't sleep on Future, and thanks to Future for helping me improve my pickleball training and for sponsoring this video. We're going to start by talking about rule number 1 that Leigh follows every single time that she steps out onto the court in order to absolutely dominate her competition again and again and again. And that rule is that the most active player is the player that controls the point. An active player controls the space of the court, which as a result applies a ton of pressure on our opponents. Leigh is absolutely brilliant at making her opponents feel like they have space to hit to, then quickly taking up that space and putting the ball away. Something that Leigh does all the time in order to accomplish this is that when she's dinking, she'll actually take a couple of steps back from the kitchen line. And so she'll be back here hitting her beautiful topspin dinks, whether on this side or her beautiful topspin backhand dinks on that side, a few feet away from the kitchen line, and then she will surprise attack her opponents, come up here and put the ball away. And so what this has to do with rule number 1, that the most active player controls the point, is because she's in a constant battle between giving her opponents space so that they feel like there's space and taking that space away in order to apply a ton of pressure on her opponents. And so this is a great strategy that she specifically uses all the time. And another great positive to it is the fact that when you're standing in this position, it's a whole lot easier to hit your dinks in. You have way more distance to hit to. And so not only is she going to be way more consistent, but she's going to bait her opponents into feeling like they have way more room to hit to until she surprise attacks and puts the ball away. So specifically with this, let's talk about taking up space, because the most active player is going to be the player that takes up the most space and applies the most pressure. If I stay back on the baseline, I'm giving my opponents the entire court to hit to. Whereas the closer I move up towards the net, the less court that they have to work with. Otherwise, they have to hit the ball directly to me. And so Leigh is an absolute expert at continuously getting up to the net and taking that space away from her opponents. She understands that the more space that she gives her opponents, the more comfortable they feel. Whereas the less space she gives them, the less comfortable they feel. And so if you go watch any point with Leigh, she is very quickly transitioning up to the kitchen as fast as possible to take that space away, apply pressure on her opponents, and ultimately win whatever point she is in. So for you in your pickleball game, focus on baiting your opponents into thinking that they have space, and also make sure that you're taking that space away by moving up to the net. A lot of people have heard that the goal in pickleball is to get up to the net, and though that's a really good idea because it takes space away, the goal in pickleball is in fact to win. And one of the best ways to win is to get up to the net. You have way more angles at the net, you have way more pressure you can apply at the net, and all the best players in the world do it. So if we want to play our best pickleball, we better start copying what they're doing. And that brings us to rule number 2. Leigh always follows one simple principle every single time that she plays, and that is that she follows the ball. Wherever the ball is, that's where she's headed. In other words, she never leaves space in the court hanging. She always takes away her opponent's easiest shot. So rule number 2 is to keep everything connected. Specifically, you want to act like a string is attached to you, your partner, and the ball at all times. If you can do that, you're always going to be in the right position. I have a lot of players that contact me and say that they struggle to know if they're in the correct position. And the solution to that is rule number 2, staying connected with your partner and the ball. If you're always staying connected with your partner and the ball, you're always going to be in the correct position on the court. Now what that also means is if I drop the ball right there, it's not going to make sense for me to stay back here, because since that string is attached, it's going to make a lot of sense for me to gravitate towards where that ball is. Now notice where my drop went. Since I hit it in this corner of the court, I'm not only gravitating forward, but I'm also gravitating towards that specific corner of the court, leaving this part of the court relatively open. And there's a really significant reason for that. The reason that I'm leaving that part of the court open over here is because my opponents can't hit with pace unless they hit the ball directly at me, to the open court here, which I'm going to be covering, or to my opponents. Instead, they have to dink the ball if they are to hit this ball out wide. And if they dink the ball, I will have time to go from this position to this position and dink the ball. If instead they speed it up to this side of my body over here, they do not have enough court to work with, so they're going to have to hit the ball wide if they hit it with any pace. If instead they hit a speed up that doesn't have much pace, I'm again going to have time to get to that ball. So if you've been struggling with your court positioning, not knowing if you're in the right position, all you have to focus on is following the ball. Forwards into the court and also side to side dependent on where the ball is. Now something that's really important with this is obviously the players that you play with, your partners, might not understand this strategy. And so a lot of the time this creates a clash where you guys are standing kind of in the same position, covering the same thing at the same time. So this is why partner communication is so pivotal, helping your partner to understand if they're on that side of the court and I'm on this side of the court and I hit the ball onto my same side of the court, their job is now to cover the middle of the court because again, they're gravitating towards the ball. It's as if there's a magnet with me, my partner, and the ball. And so since they're gravitating towards the middle, well, they have that covered. I need to now cover the line. And now I'm gravitating towards the line, getting ready to cover that down the line speed up. If I dink the ball cross court in this direction, well, now I'm covering the middle. I'm coming over, I'm taking space. A lot of players have a hard time stepping over this line. Even though there's a line down the middle of the court, if you gravitate towards the ball, you can step over that line. It's completely fine. And it's gonna put you in a better position to counterattack your opponent's speed ups. And so don't be afraid to go across that line, but just make sure that you're not crossing this line when the ball is way over here. If the ball's over in this direction, you're gonna be covering your own line here. So this has been one of the most game-changing implementations in my own game. Just remember, if you're following the ball, you're always in the correct position. Make sure that you're always covering your opponent's easiest shots. A brilliant coach that I had in 10 has taught me this principle, that if I always follow the ball, I'm always covering my opponent's easier shots. It's gonna be way easier for my opponent to speed the ball up the middle of the court in comparison to down the line. Because if they speed the ball up down the line, they have a way higher net tape here. So this is 36 inches right here, and this is 34 inches right here in the middle. So if they speed up the middle, they have those 2 extra inches, which makes it a big difference, especially because we're so close to the net. And so with this, understand that even though you are covering the line when the ball is directly in front of you here, the harder shot for your opponents and the shot that you kind of want to bait is them going down the line. So don't be afraid to take up a little bit of space in the middle. While at the same time you're following the ball, allow them to kind of have that shot, bait them into it. They're gonna miss it way more often than not. Whereas if you don't cover this middle ball here, they have way more court to hit to, plus the lower part of the net to hit over. And that brings us to rule number 3, which is that we always want to answer this question. What does my opponent want? Pickleball is all about reading what your opponent is trying to make you do. Do they want you to speed up the ball? Do they want you to get in a dink battle with them because they're very confident in their dink consistency? Do they want to keep me back, or do they want to allow me to come forward because I'm a super sporadic player and I'm going to speed up every single shot? Understanding what your opponents want specifically from you will help you to be able to make better decisions out on the court and not give them that. Leigh recognizes that every single person that she plays against has different strengths and weaknesses. She's in a constant battle to take away their strengths and attack their weaknesses. In one recent tournament that she played in, she and her partner lost the first game 13-15 and came back into the next game with a focus on what her opponents wanted. And once they figured that out, they did the exact opposite. She quickly realized that they lost the first game because she kept speeding up the ball to her opponent's strengths. Specifically, Hurricane Tyra Black and Paris Todd were able to utilize their strengths because Leigh kept speeding up the ball to their stronger sides. So Paris Todd was playing on the right side of the court here, and Tyra, for the most part, was playing on the left side of the court here. Tyra's backhand is her strong suit. So if you were to speed up the line, she's gonna chomp that 9 times out of 10. Whereas her forehand, she's a little bit late on it because she sits backhand. Now, over here with Paris Todd, she has a strong backhand, but her forehand is way better. She can probably hit her backhand harder than her forehand, but it doesn't have nearly the amount of control or consistency. And in pickleball, controlling consistency is the absolute most important thing. And so what she did, and her partner, Anna Bright, heading into the next game, if you watch these clips, is they started speeding up the ball to their opponent's weaknesses. Specifically, speeding up the ball up the middle of the court at any opportunity. So what she did is she took what her opponents wanted, those speed ups down the line, and did the exact opposite, started speeding it up the middle. She got a ton of errors from Paris on the backhand side, as well as a ton of errors from Tyra on the forehand side. And the most brilliant thing is that her and her partner kept doing that over and over and over again. A lot of players will try something once and be like, "Ooh, we barely got away with it there." No, if it works, you need to try it again and again and again and again until it stops working. Because all that it takes to win a match, no matter who you're playing against, is one winning strategy. In fact, chances are any game that you have played in the past where you've lost, in comparison to any game that you've played in the past where you've won, was probably greatly due to the fact that you figured out one winning strategy to implement throughout that entire match. So ask yourself, what does your opponent want, and do the opposite. Rule number 4 that Leigh has absolutely mastered is that she attacks the easy targets. Leigh is an absolute master at always choosing the highest percentage shots. Her pickleball IQ is one of the best IQs in the entire game. Obviously, she's world number 1, so that goes without saying. But she's always choosing the most high percentage shots to hit to, whether that's a speed up or a dink. Something interesting, if you watch her games, she hits 99% of her dinks cross court or up the middle. It's pretty rare to see her hit a dink up the line, just simply because, like I talked about before, the net is higher there. And also it's a shorter distance to your opponents. It's a much less high percentage shot to go to. And so her understanding this, she'll only go down the line if it's a good opportunity to go down the line, meaning her opponents are either hugging the middle or the ball has sat up just a little bit and allows her to be able to hit a little bit more down, get it at her opponent's feet. Now, something that I want to emphasize in this video is that the easiest target on your opponents is always their shins. If you hit a ball at my shin area, I have 2 decisions to make. Already the gears are turning. I have to decide, do I take the ball out of the air, or do I let the ball bounce and step back and then hit the ball? So since I have what's called decision fatigue, I have to make a decision between 2 different choices. It automatically causes an error all the time. And so one of the best and easiest targets to continuously attack and hit your shots to and aim for is the shins. Now, you've probably heard from a lot of coaches out there that you should try to hit and attack your opponent's feet. Now, when we aim for our opponent's feet, a lot of the time we end up just hitting the court in front of them and they have time to hit the ball. They don't have as much decision fatigue. Whereas if we aim for our opponent's shins, that's a much more difficult shot for them to have to hit. And the best part is it's a super easy target. So all that you have to focus on with your drops, your drives, your dinks, your volleys, is to try to hit them at your opponent's shins. Now, I'm not saying, oh, I have this easy winner and the court is open, that I try to hit my opponent's shins even though they're off the court. Obviously, in that situation, when they've opened up the court, we're going to the open court, which is what we're going to talk about next. But what I am saying is that one of the easiest strategies that you can instantly implement when you go out onto the court is to just simply aim for your opponent's shins. It's going to set you up for pop-up after pop-up after pop-up and apply a ton of pressure on your opponents. And no one does this better than Leigh Waters. And that brings us to rule number 5, which is that games are won by patterns and positions that create unstoppable momentum. And so in other words, once the correct pattern is set up on the court, the point is practically over. So here are 2 winning patterns that Annalie Waters uses all the time to not only apply pressure on her opponents, but set herself up for winning opportunities. The first is one that she does very often, and that is a half-pace speed up whenever she's up at the kitchen line and her opponents hit kind of a dead dink up the middle. She'll hit a half-pace speed up back up the middle, trying to get it low near her opponent's shins. This almost always creates a pop-up because your opponents try to speed up the ball from that weak position, and then she puts that next ball away to the open court. She's now opened up the side of the court. She's very consistent at hitting it there. And so what a half-pace speed up is exactly like how it sounds. We're simply speeding up the ball at about that pace at our opponents. And you might think, oh, isn't that a super easy ball for your opponents to absolutely chomp on? And it's actually super difficult because since it's so slow and so low, your opponents have to hit up from the position that they're at. And so because of this, it creates error after error after error with that indecision. Do I speed up the ball or do I dink the ball? And it also causes pop-up after pop-up after pop-up. And number 2 is her absolute go-to pattern that she uses all the time, where she will throw her opponent off the court with a really fast and low dink, and then she'll fire the pop-up through the middle. And the reason that this is so brilliant is because it gets your opponents off balance. Whenever they're in a scramble, chances are they're gonna pop the ball up, and their goal is to get that ball back up the middle to a consistent position. And so she hovers over the middle. She's ready to attack no matter what, even if they do hit a good reset into the kitchen. And so these are 2 different winning strategies that she likes to use all the time to gain the advantage on her opponents, because she understands that games are won by patterns and positions way more than they're won by raw skill. That said, she's one of the most talented players of all time, if not the most talented player of all time. And it's because, like we talked about in the very beginning of this video, she puts in the work. So that's everything for this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. And if you want to continue improving your pickleball game, you can watch this video right here. In it, I go into depth on 5 simple principles that Ben Johns follows that helps him be such a dominant player so consistently. You're going to instantly improve your pickleball game just from watching it. I'll see you over there.